Doctors in Delhi say people are dying on the streets outside hospitals as India struggles with record coronavirus infections and a critical shortage of oxygen. 352,000 infections have been reported in the last 24 hours alone, and there are indications the situation could be far worse than the official figures suggest. Rajini Vaidyanathan has the latest, and a warning her report contains some distressing images.
She came to hospital to be saved. Instead, this is where she died. They don't have oxygen, they don't have doctors. People are dying out here, her brother said. We were standing here in the car park for an hour. Now, my sister's no more. A horror story on repeat as oxygen and bed shortages claim lives that could have been saved. Patients left to fend for themselves, struggling for help as they struggle to stay alive. They say there's no bed and that I should look for another hospital, Manish Kumar said. But I would be dying on the way. I need the oxygen here. With supplies still low, international help is on its way to India. Ventilators and oxygen concentrators are being sent from the UK government. The EU, the US and even Pakistan among the other nations pledging help. But it still isn't nearly enough to meet demand.
As far as the number of cases and the number of serious patients requiring hospitalization is concerned, I think it will take at least a couple of weeks in Delhi and the surrounding states to even start normalizing and then possibly declining.
And so every day, hundreds queue in India's capital to try and get their hands on supplies.
I've been waiting here for 2 hours. If I don't get anything, I don't know what I'll do. My brother is sick at home. He can barely breathe. I'm scared he won't make it.
With the helplessness, mounting frustration. A year after the country's first wave, many ask why the government didn't do more to scale up healthcare facilities. Instead, it's come to this. Rajini Vaidyanathan, BBC News.
Well, Dr. Shahid Jamil is a virologist and Director of Biosciences at Ashoka University. Thank you, Dr. Jamil, for joining us here on the programme. We're seeing devastating situation there in India. In fact, this morning I heard it being described as a tsunami rather than an actual second wave.
Yes, I'm afraid that's a good description of it. Things are pretty serious. Hospitals don't have any beds available. Oxygen has run in short supply. But my understanding of the oxygen situation is that India produces enough oxygen, and barely 5% of oxygen produced in India is used for medical purposes. So there is enough surge capacity. The problem is having the ability to move oxygen from one part of the country where it is produced to the other part of the country where it is needed. And it is there that action is being taken, and that is where help is being sought.
So can I just pick up on that point, Dr. Jamil? So you're saying that there isn't, in fact, an oxygen shortage in the country. It's just getting the supplies out is where the problem lies.
That's right. That's what I have come to know from people who have been in this business long enough, that India produces enough. And in fact, 90% or more of the oxygen produced in India is used in industry, in the steel industry and other industries. Only about 5% is used as medical oxygen. But it's a matter of moving it from the place where it is produced to where it is needed.
And what is actually causing this delay? Why isn't the government taking urgent action?
Well, first of all, it caught everyone by surprise, the kind of surge that we are seeing. And secondly, there aren't enough containers to move this oxygen. I mean, oxygen is produced as liquefied oxygen, and it is moved that way to the site where it is used. So my understanding is that it's the lack of containers. And you may say that why weren't containers obtained earlier and all of that, but that's part of preparedness. And we were caught on the wrong foot. We were caught on the wrong foot.
Dr. Jamil, we're just short on time, but if you could just talk us through the different variants, because India is not only facing this sort of second wave, but it is also dealing with these variants as well.
Yes, so we do have variants that are more infectious and which are also causing breakthrough infections, meaning that somebody who's been infected earlier is getting infected, somebody who's taken the vaccine is getting infected, although with mild disease, but nevertheless. And there are two main variants of concern that are circulating in the country. One is the UK variant, which you are very familiar with, so I'll not go into it. The other variant is an Indian variant, which is also called B1617, and I prefer to call it that and not call it the double variant or the triple variant because it just causes confusion. It's a lineage that has been seen here, and it has two critical mutations that allow this variant virus to be more infectious and to also partially evade some immune responses. And these variants are spreading quite fast in the population, which may be the cause for the surge that we see.
This surge. Dr. Jamil, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us here on the programme.